Now, let's dive deep into this big LGBTQ story of 2024. I'm Faye Watt, and let's queer up the top stories of the year. This is number 12 of 24. HBO's We're Here and Sasha Velour takes on Bible Belt hate. This story was broadcast on May 23rd on Queer God Squad. It was when Tennessee's governor had signed a bill restricting drag shows, but the queens of We're Here countered the hatred with resilience, showcasing drag's transformative power. Take a look.
HBO's We're Here and Sasha Velour take on Bible Belt hate. In March 2023, Tennessee's governor signed a pioneering bill restricting drag shows, part of a wave of anti-LGBTQ+ legislation across the country. Though a federal judge ruled the law unconstitutional a few months later, it ignited widespread anti-drag sentiment, impacting small towns like Murfreesboro. Just weeks later, HBO's We're Here brought its fourth season to Murfreesboro, showcasing the queer community and the healing power of drag. The new hosts, Sasha Velour, Priyanka, and Jada Essence Hall, with Latrice Royale joining for the final episodes, arrived in full regalia to coach local queer people and allies for a drag showcase. This season also spans Oklahoma, another major battleground for LGBTQ+ rights. Unlike previous seasons, the queens spend weeks getting to know the small communities their drag daughters call home, staging a series of smaller drag shows regardless of local opposition. In Tennessee, Velour mentors Norm, a longtime LGBTQ+ advocate and part-time performer from Murfreesboro, who feels responsible for the town's pride cancellation. In Oklahoma, Velour helps Jess, a recently out transgender woman. Through deep conversations and heartfelt performances, the queens and their protégés deliver powerful messages of resilience, hope, and support, standing proudly together at the end of each show.
Oh, I love Ann Atwell. Let me just start there, okay? I love Queer God Squad. I love Robert and Darrell. They're just incredible there at Sunshine Cathedral, and they just give me life. It's interesting to see this story again after like almost a year of this, you know? One, I was a huge fan of the new We're Here. I am a huge Latrice Royale fan, and I was just so happy to see her in this new role because she's so passionate and she really does like she wears her heart on her sleeve, you know? And so unlike other seasons of We're Here, they were spending a lot more time in the same cities. Right? In the past, they were in a city for 2 weeks and that was that. Now they were staying for like 3 or 4 episodes at one spot, and they were going to hot places like Texas, Florida, Oklahoma, Tennessee, you know, and these girls had to battle some instant hatred. Like they got death threats, they had, you know, pride cancellations. And, you know, my thoughts were to the queer people in these cities, because we're everywhere. We're like roaches, right? We're everywhere. And, you know, these poor people were just taken and restricted of their just right to be gay, you know? And then the queens would come in and be like, okay, no, we're still going to have an event here. We're still going to do something. Queer folks, we're going to represent you. But they, you know, got a lot of backlash in the process. And Velour was like a big target over in Tennessee.
Yeah, the show it really changed dramatically with the political climate. The first few seasons, it used to be all about like, hey, if we can make you more confident, which you can with a good makeover, we're gay, we know how to do that. Or if you need, you know, a few of your homophobic family members turned around, yeah,
we can do that.
We got that covered too. That's just some really good, honest conversations. But it really quickly became kind of that person almost versus an entire community. And the Queen stepped up, production stepped up. They updated the format to really address what was actually happening in the world. I'll watch this show as long as it's coming out.
But it's important because the lesson learned is that we need to support ourselves regardless of where we are. We need to backfill our youth. You know, we need to teach people confidence. We need to teach them speaking skills and how do we talk about gay marriage. You know, it's not a religious thing, it's a financial thing, it's a loving thing. So it shows that we need to do a better job at these small communities, because the large communities, we know how to talk it up. We got the allies, and when we got the success, we need to weed that down into small town America.
Good point.
You know, something that I was thinking about, boys, and I'm going to ask you about this. Like Mark, I'm a huge We're Here fan, and I've been watching for the last couple of years. So they changed the format. They make it more political. They make it more sad. They make it more real.
It's not queer drag.
Yes, then We're Here gets canceled.
Yes.
Okay. Do we think that it got canceled because we're just not ready, or the world is not ready to see drag queens and real shit that we just want to see sing, dance for us, lip sync, look pretty?
I mean, I think the reality is that streaming is having a moment where they're struggling. So anything that's not a huge revenue generator is getting cut. And unfortunately, that's going to fall by the wayside of things that don't have mass appeal. And Warner Brothers Discovery, whose HBO Max is, is struggling the most. So I think it's unfortunate. But I do think the fact that we had it is great. And I think there's other places out there. But I think the message of it is that we need to find places where we can, as you're saying, can we go and volunteer and go to Tennessee? Like, my cousin lives in Tennessee, and during that drag ban, they were doing drag shows on party buses because they couldn't perform in the band. And so they would get those party buses like we get, and they would have drag shows in them. So people would go and buy tickets to go on the party bus because that was a legal place that they could do drag until that ban was removed. So, but I always say our community is very creative.
Yes,
I was gonna say that
we are. We're resilient. We're creative. We're going to
smart.
figure out a way. Like,
Yes.
we even made it like speakeasy kind of. Like, yeah, get on our party bus. Don't be drag. Like for me, like drag is like the cornerstone of our community. Like, we don't have events without drag because that is what makes us smile. That is what makes us us. So
we're making fun of ourselves.
Those drag bands were scary AF, buddy. Okay, when we had a couple prides that we didn't have drag queens at, I'm like, are we really folding over right now? Like people were scared.
Yeah, and I think we can't forget how much drag queens have really supported just gay rights in general. The whole reason that there were so many drag queens is there were a lot of places where you had to be with a woman. If the cops came in, they had to see a pairing like that, and they really backed us up, I think, when nobody else did.
Yeah. Well, if you go back to Stonewall in 1969, that's where it all began, and a lot of transgender.
Marsha P. Johnson,
Absolutely.
Sylvia Rivero, yes.
Absolutely, and we have a wonderful asset with the Stonewall Museum here in Fort Lauderdale, and I understand that that's expanding, so kudos to them.
Yay, Robert.
And Jeff, to point out your situation with talking about Warner Brothers, it's not money making. That's why we're here.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
Fill in
what
the
we're
gaps.
That's what we're
Yes.
making this space for, so that we can have all those opportunities.
And I think one of the things we can do, maybe on a grassroots level, and I came down from the New Jersey, New York area thinking, we fought our fight in the late 80s and 90s, early 2000s.
We're done, right?
Yeah, I did. I honestly did, because I marched on Washington with friends and family, and did the parades in New York. And you look now and say we have to do it again. Years ago, and I never thought I'd have to do this. I think one of the things may help to bridge the gap between the entertainers and the drag community and other parts of the community would be maybe to look at having speakers bureaus. What we did in New Jersey is I belonged to New Jersey Speakers Bureau. We had a wonderful leader, Chris Salito, and we went out to colleges. And I thought we had really turned the tide when I went to my alma mater, William Patterson, which is a state university. I'm sitting there on a panel of gay people, and they really wanted to talk more to the transgender representative. I believe her name was Susan, who had a family, was planning children, worked for the state of New Jersey. That was more interesting. And there was a lot of respect in the room, but they're like, oh, we've heard from you gay people. We want to know the trans story. So that, I really thought the tide, and I hope we get back there again.
Yeah, because we need to.
Absolutely.
We definitely do. We are bringing you a special presentation of the 24 biggest stories of the year. We call it the Top 24 of 24. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBTQ stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.